Hello, it's time for more Cheerful Daisies. This is Jilly Bling, and this is card number 2 in a series of 5. And I call it Gotta Have It, where if you just gotta have the bundle and you order it through me using this host code before the end of day on May 7th, I would love to send you 5 free card kits. And this is number 2. The first one I can show you. Right here. So that's the first one. And, oh, I didn't put the insides in yet. Let me get the other card. Here it is. And this is card number 2. Isn't that beautiful? The minute I saw this paper, I knew I had to do that with this, just because recently I made this card. Or this was one I received in a swap, and I made a card similar to this for the Desert Details bundle. But isn't that beautiful? So I wanted to do something similar to that, but with the daisy paper. And to me, this one just, I love how this one came out. So this is today's project. So we're going to be using Cheerful Daisies bundle, Ringed with Nature just for the sentiment, just for you, 2 die sets, Cheerful Daisies, and then also deco rectangles to make this rectangle frame. Okay. So here are the pieces. This is the package of paper that comes in the product suite. And it's beautiful paper. And from here, we're going to cut this boho blue piece of designer paper for the sentiment on the front. Also the same for the inside, right here. And then also little leaf backers. So this die set, let me show you that. This die set, when you cut it out of a piece of paper, this will work out well. And you cut out one of each, because at first I didn't know where to start with this bundle. So if you cut out one of each, this is a big stamp. These are flower centers. Each of the flowers in this little 3 left the paper in there. So this is what the primary stamp is. So it has 3 flowers and some little leaves. So that's what this is. So each of these flowers, for instance, the big flower, it has 3 parts to it. This is the middle part. This one here, which is just an outline, is lower part. And then this one right here is the top part. And when we make the daisy, you'll start saying, now I know what you're talking about. But just remember that each of the daisies have 3 parts. So it's the lower, the middle piece is the one that's all connected together, and then there's this detailed upper one. And the flower centers, a stem, this little fern thing for the words, a sentiment, and this cuts out these little flowers right here. So, now that we have all that pulled out, we're going to be making some flowers today. But on the front of the card, it's 2 bunches of flowers. 1 bunch here, 1 bunch there. Okay, let's see, what do we have? Let's cut out first, because this boho blue designer paper is on top. Let's cut out 2 of the word label and 4 of this little leaf right here. 4 of those. Let's just start with that. And just have all these little elements setting off to the side, which will be convenient in a minute. And here's some of those. And I have the other half of them all ready to go, but I want to show you how to assemble it. Let's see what else. So these papers are just basic white cardstock, and I'm going to cut out double because there's 2 bunches of flowers. So 2 of these. That's the big outline. That's the detail. Outline, detail, detail. So there's the one big one, and then the lower piece, and then these are like super fine detail with kind of like texturing on it. I'm going to do that twice. So here's those pieces. Okay, let's use the decal rectangle on the copper paper, and that's what will make this frame. And save the inside, because see how perfect the inside of the frame is? Don't want to throw that away. So the inside, we'll cut 2 of the label. There's a frame, and see how I cut 2 from here? Here's one of them. Okay, so this part, you could use it for something else or discard it, however you like. Okay, so that's a good start to this card. Should we build the daisy or should we build the card? Since this is here, let's just build the daisy. So building the card will go really fast. Building the daisies, the way that I do it, you're going to use a lot of glue dots, but do you notice how there's a little bit of shadow underneath each of these layers? And that's because the glue dots, I kind of rolled them up into a ball so that it provides a little bit of dimension. Not quite as much as a dimensional, but definitely flat or more dimensionalized or popped up compared to just flat glue. Okay, so let's get these pieces. This way you could see what all the pieces are. So on top is the detailed one. On the bottom is the outline. And then there is this one that's the one big piece. And I'm going to cut off these little leaves, which are very cute. But we'll put those on the inside right here. Because on the front, there's already enough going on. I could tuck leaves in, but I think they'd get lost. And they're really pretty on the inside. So since I'm thinking about it, where are those little blue? I know I'm kind of all over the place here. But once you have all your pieces in front of you, then it goes really fast. Okay, so I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on here, including the center parts of the leaf. Because when you flip it over, it's nice, but when you put it on the inside of the card, white on white, it gets lost. So it needed something. I didn't want to introduce another color of green. See how it just kind of gets lost? So, Stampin' Up! Made the perfect dies to cut out little pieces to put behind that detailed leaf die. Just like that. And it's like they fit almost, but there's a little bit of color showing through. But that's okay. I'll call it abstract. Okay, so I'm just going to let this set off to the side to dry. And you know, while we're thinking about it, setting something off to the side to dry, I'm going to stamp on here the Just For You. When I was doing the sample, I did the birthday words like a whole bunch of times. It's like, you know, just need it once. You can't say the same sentiment on the inside, the outside, and the middle. Okay, so that turned out good. And now are you wondering, where's the die to cut out the copper? Or on here? where's the die to cut out the larger? So we're going to do that now. We're going to kind of, and you could do this with punches too. Just do a little trick. Turn it upside down. Cut diagonal. And if you can, I don't know that you have to, if you can, keep them kind of in order. And then cut right here. And you could see that I'm not being precise at all. That piece, and this piece. Okay. And I'm going to put glue on all of them, just because sometimes when glue, right when you apply it, it's like almost slippery. So if I give it a minute to start drying and get tacky, I could still move it around if needed, but at least it's not going to be, especially with foil, it kind of does its own thing, and you look over, it's like, how did you move? So it's okay if it waits just a second. Okay, so now this piece, I'm going to put it right on there, and I want the stitching to show and maybe a little bit of the copper to show. Okay, so now that dry. I'm going to try to give it a minute to rest and dry. Then I'll do this one. If I did a top or the bottom, I might disrupt the piece we already did. Okay. And in the end, let me see if you could, how's it best to see it? See that little copper nub? I'm going to trim that off, but after it dried. If I try doing it right now, I know I'd mess it up. So I just want the stitching to show and a little bit of the copper. Okay, so I'm just going to let that dry, and then I'll come, oop, I really scooched that one. I'll come back and I'll clear up the little nubs sticking out. Okay, I'll let that dry. Okay, so back to the flowers. So the flowers, I'm going to use glue dots, and before I make these, put them together, see how there's a hint of color, the Cajun craze on the inside of the flower? I'm going to do that with this stamp right here, which is this one, a little flower center, using Cajun craze. So when you're stamping, just the hint of color, and it's going to be stamped on this piece that has the three of them together. Try not to go beyond the dots. It's okay to go right up to the dots. Here, I'll show you a good bad example. This is a bad example. See how it went over? I wish you didn't see that Cajun craze outside of this detailed die cut piece. This one is okay. You could see a little bit there. I don't like that. This one is okay, but up here you could see a little bit of it. So I just wish that I was a little bit more delicate. Like that one, you could see a lot of it. You probably didn't notice that when I showed you the card. You're like, oh, that's pretty. But I think I could do it better. So this time, I'm going to try. So, a few dots. That one I went a little bit beyond the dots. Oh, this one I'm doing good. I'll hold it up here in just a minute. And you know, if you have your Cajun dots going beyond, I don't think anyone will critique you on it. Okay, so I'll hold this up here. See how I did the ink right to the dots? And on the card sample, I'll show you again, I had the ink way out to over here on the petals. This one I got a little crazy, but that's good. This one I probably could have used a little bit more by the dots, but I think it's going to be just fine. So again, here's my bad example. Too much, too much. way too much, but it's still okay. Okay, let's build this. Glue dots. We're going to need a lot of glue dots. So just take your glue dot, fold it over, then fold it again, because you want to wad a ball of a glue dot. And we can put them on the back side of the detailed. So doing the glue dot like this, it gives it a little bit dimension, but if you try to cut tiny dimensionals for all this, you would probably go crazy. And this works out really good and it holds really good. So I'm going to take a glue dot, fold it in half, and then just kind of wad it up with the intent to make it as big as possible. Okay, so now that that little one is done, this one will fit right onto here. Just like that. Okay, and next, let's do this one. This is the medium flower. And you could do like 3 or 4 glue dots rolled up on the back side of each layer. You could do more if you want, but I think 3 or 4, because these are really sticky glue dots. And when you're removing the glue dot from your snips, you kind of have a tendency, like if you're wanting it to let go, to pull it and stretch it, but that just makes the glue dot flat, which is, we're trying to make it big, fluffy. Okay, 2 out of 3. Lots of glue dots. This one. So this big one, this big detailed die piece, it's got this one leaf that's out there all by itself. It's kind of fragile, this one right here. So I'm going to give it its own glue dot. It's not going to go anywhere. Yeah, stretching that thing. I don't want the glue dot to show. There it is. Maybe one more glue dot down here. Okay, now this one can get layered on top. And I'll put all of the paper cut sizes on my blog as soon as I get done with all 5 of the projects. I'll do it all at once, everything under one blog post. And my blog is jillybling.com. Okay, so top layer is done. So now we have one more layer to do. Same process, same rhythm. But this time, because the pieces are bigger, it's really easy to put your rolled up glue dots on them. Like, how did I get copper on the back of that little flower? Couldn't tell you. Or Cajun craze. Do you ever have so many things you should be doing, but where do you find yourself? In your stamp room? I should be cleaning. I should be gardening a little. I was out there yesterday. I'm kind of sore. I should have taken stock in glue dots before I did this project. I love how this fold turned out. Especially with the paper. When I saw that paper, many times when I see the paper that's kind of stretching across, or a scene stretching across the whole page, I think it's beautiful, But I think, what am I going to do with a card? How am I going to put that on a card? Because I really don't scrapbook too much. Okay, not at all. But it's just, it's so pretty. Well, I have an answer from now on. Do the same card, the same layout. There has to be an easy way. Because I know it fits some way just perfect. I have it upside down, I think. There it is. Okay, we have our daisy done. Isn't that cute? Okay, glue dots, you've done your thing. Okay, so let's get to building this card. Okay, so these are just Cajun Craze cardstock, cut to 5.5 by 8.5. I'm going to fold it in half. And just kind of nest them together. And it won't be perfect. There'll be a little bit of a, like right here, see how it's kind of showing? But that's easy for opening it. Isn't that pretty? These colors, Cajun Craze, I could say it's not my favorite, but with this card, these colors, I love it. Okay, back on task. So this is going to go right inside here. And I'm going to put liquid glue all over. Or Stampin' Seal, whatever adhesive you like. And I know that this part is going to stick out a little. So I'm going to get it really close. But just give it that extra 1/16 of an inch. Close it up, kind of push it in so it goes in as far as it can. And yeah, there's a little bit of a, just a little bit showing, but that's okay. See right there? Just a little bit. Okay, let's get to the fun part. Daisy, and I already made the other daisies, so you don't have to watch me roll up glue dots forever. And leaf, I know we did another leaf. Words, here's the other leaf. Look at all these pieces. And then another birthday. Oh, I still have to trim off the, okay, so what I'm talking about is, see this little bit of copper right here? I'm just going to trim that off. So it's hiding back behind the boho blue words. I have this birthday done already because the first card, I was just about to put it in all 3 places we put words. Okay, so that's better. There's no little nubs sticking out. And it looks really good. And when you're doing this, if your glue is still wet, this is my earlier note to self. Because when I did the other card, the glue was still wet. And I had glue all on my snips and they weren't working. So get the glue off as quick as you can. Okay, now it's time to build this card. The frame. Okay, so we have printed flower designer paper. This plain brush stroke designer paper goes on the top. The white one goes on the inside. And then we'll do these other 3 with the print, the flowers on it in just a minute. So for now, ooh, that's pretty. Uh-oh. Okay, move on, carry on. Do you have a backup? Do you have a little mini one? You could tell I use this one all the time. But then I have this one too, which is just as good, but it's bigger. But it's full. Yeah. Okay, that goes right here on the top. And we'll put the frame on in a minute, so let's do the inside. This part is really fun. Okay, so the designer paper, I took it all from the middle, just because I wanted a little bit of blue and I wanted flowers. If I would have took the bottom part, I would have been chopping off the top of the flowers. So you can do that. You could get double the cards out of one sheet. Where's the sheets? Oh, I've got it put away. But if you have the paper, I'll get the sheet. I'll get it. So here's the paper. So what I'm talking about, when you go to cut it, here we go. Maybe. So isn't that beautiful? But if you cut it in half, right here, you would have one card that has a few daisies. That's cute. And this card, well, I guess that would look okay. It has lots of them, but you don't see really the top of any of them. Therefore, I took a chunk right here, right out of the middle. Kind of a waste, but it's really pretty. Okay, so I want, for sure, I'm trying to rebuild, like I see these attaching and this. So because this is a little separate, I'll put that one on the inside and then do these two right here. You know, before I put down the next piece, I should stamp the sentiment. And I'm thinking I should do that because if I mess it up, I would like to say I could turn it over, but I know I can't. But it's probably always best to stamp the sentiment just when it's flat. So on the outside, I'm going to have just for you. On the inside, I think talking does it to me. Friendships. That's birthday. Sorry about that. Here it is. Okay. Okay, better now. Friendships. Your friendship means everything to me. Right there. And now, excuse me, now it can stick down. Uh-oh, it's running out. There we go. That's better. Maybe I should just use Stampin' Seal. That doesn't happen. Isn't that pretty? Okay. So we have this part done. And the inside, let's work on the top front first. So we have the flowers done. and they go on the frame. So this one is like that. This one is like this, leaving just a little bit of room for the Just For You right about here. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, I love this. Okay, and I want it popped up using dimensionals. So, looking at the frame and where the flowers touch, I'm going to put dimensionals underneath. For example, right up here. And get the frame on here, centered. Okay. And then I know that the big daisy will cover this part of the frame, right there. Okay, that's a good start. So then I'm going to put dimensionals on the underside like a little bit closer to the inside, because I'm not sure where it's going to hit the frame and I don't want to double up. Just like that. Okay. And I can leave a little bit of a gap for the words. But now I want the frame to be popped up. See how the flower is going over the frame, so I know I could tuck a dimensional under there and it could be hidden. Right there. And maybe a little one right here. Okay, and a little one there. You know, people who get our cards, I hope they appreciate them. They put a lot of effort in. And a lot of dimensionals, and a lot of glue dots. Okay, that's looking pretty good. So then the words, they can go maybe right about there. And that I'm just going to put on with glue. This one I put a few dimensionals underneath there, but because the flowers were a little bit higher, my words are kind of indented a little bit. So this can just go on with liquid glue. I don't know what's going on with this. I just had the pin in it. I might have to pull out that little one that was almost empty. Okay. And then a double bow. Then we could work on the inside, which doesn't have too much going on. So for here, linen thread. I use linen thread a lot. So I'll put this on with a glue dot and then follow up with glue, liquid glue. So I'm going to make this really small, just kind of roll it over so it's really narrow. And that could go right here. No, don't think that's sticking down. I think I had to clean out the end of this. The little one is working really good. Okay. So, my linen thread has a couple extra pieces of linen there. So this could go onto the glue dot. And I know that the bow kind of covers up some of the words, but because the words are bold, I think it's just fine. And it's a mess, but it will dry pretty. It'll clear up. Okay, so for the inside, yeah, it's in here. So for the inside, oh, we still have that one piece to lay down. Let's do this right here. So at the bottom in boho blue, I'm going to stamp that little tiny daisy cluster, and it's going to be stamp off. So stamp off just little daisies. Isn't that color beautiful? Okay, and then the words can go on with dimensionals. It's stuck down there. And I'll do maybe just one dimensional for now, and I'll do more in a minute. Right in the middle. Doesn't that look good? Okay. That glue is wet on there. I don't want it to stick to the tabletop. Okay, so we put this in. Stamp and seal. Now liquid glue is doing no good right now. Okay, and the last piece of designer paper, that could go right on here. And remember how there was the one piece that fits in between, but because there's a gap separated by the white paper, I think it's just fine. Okay, and then the little blue leaves, those go on with glue, just because I want them flat. And I'm not putting any glue on this tiny little white leaf right here, because I kind of want that one to maybe pop up a little bit. And when you put your leaves on, make sure to avoid the crease. If you have it in the crease, it's going to get creased. It's going to cause problems. Okay. That, don't want it going outside of the card. Oh, but it's a little lost. Let me see if I could adjust that. I kind of like it going up into the Cajun craze border so that you could see the outline of the leaf. Okay, I think that's it. So here's a sample, similar. Isn't that pretty? Let me show you this one. Okay, that's it for project number 2. So if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and like button, and have a great day. Bye.